Fall is on its way, and in preparation I'm putting together this special video to walk you through step by step how to crochet one of my cozier patterns, the Hornby vest top, which I am currently wearing. This is my second full tutorial video. If you missed my tutorial for the Gastown top, which is also a crochet pattern, you can find a link in the description below. It only uses a few different stitches and techniques, all of which I'm going to be walking you through in this video and is thoroughly written out in the pattern. This vest is crocheted with a worsted weight yarn and designed to have approximately 4 inches 10 centimeters of positive ease. So it's the perfect versatile top for wearing on its own, like I am now, to layering up throughout the colder winter months. This pattern is named after one of my favourite islands here in British Columbia, Hornby Island. Hornby Island is nicknamed the Little Hawaii of BC, or maybe even of Canada, due to its very clear blue waters, although a little colder than Hawaii I think, and its tranquil beaches. As I designed this vest, I envisioned the days are getting cooler, walking along the beach, watching the sunset and feeling nice and warm in my crochet vest. This top is customizable in terms of length. I've already crocheted 2, this one, the original sample, and then a scrappy version, which you can see behind me, that is slightly more cropped. The top I'm going to be making for this tutorial is going to be my 3rd one, so you can tell I'm a real fan of this pattern. The construction of this pattern, you start from the bottom, working up before splitting to do the front and the back, and then adding stitches for the neck, armholes and hem. And now you have all the background information you need. Let's get into the materials and notions that you're going to need to start making this crochet vest. So before you begin, the first thing you're going to need to do is buy the pattern. This video is going to cover the stitches and the techniques used in the pattern, but for size guidance and full written clear instructions, you'll need to buy the pattern, and that is available from my website, wanderandcreatewithemma.com, as well as Ravelry and Etsy. The pattern is size inclusive, covering 9 sizes, from a finished bust measurement of 34 inches up to 66 inches. And as with all my patterns, it has been tech edited and tested by a wonderful bunch of volunteer crocheters. So a big thank you for them, because they really helped make the pattern what it is today. And now you have the pattern, let's get on to the materials and the notions that you're going to need. To make this vest, you'll need worsted weight yarn. I used Lion Brand's Fisherman's Wool, which is 100% wool. You'll need a 4mm crochet hook, or whatever you need to obtain gauge, 4 removable stitch markers, a tapestry needle, measuring tape, and scissors to cut your yarn. The first thing you're going to need to do is make the foundation chain, and the amount of stitches will vary depending on the size that you're making. So I will see you once I've got the right number of stitches. Once we have done the foundation chain and slip stitch to join it in the round, the first round we're going to do is half double crochet stitches. So we're just going to chain 1, which doesn't count as a first stitch, yarn over, go into the first stitch, yarn over again, so you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull them all through, and that's your first half double crochet. And we're going to do that into every single chain in your round. So you keep going as so, and once you get to the last half of double crochet, you then slip stitch into the top of your first half double crochet to join together, and I'll come back and walk you through the next steps. So now we've completed our first round of half double crochets, we can start working the body going from bottom up, and that will be rounds of half double crochets, but there is a technique that we're going to have to use every other round in order to stop the stitches slanting at the seam, and I'll show you what I mean here with this little sample. So if you were to just continue and you do your last half double crochet of the round, you slip stitch it into the first, chain 1 and go round again. Just doing that will create a slanted seam like this. So there is a special technique that we can do every other round to avoid that. So I'll show you here. So this is going to be our round 2, and this is what we'll do every other round. you're going to chain 1, and then we'll be skipping the first stitch and going straight into the second stitch with a half double crochet. So we'll yarn over and we will skip the first stitch and go into the second stitch. And from there, we continue just doing a half double crochet into every single stitch. If you haven't watched one of my tutorial videos before, you'll notice I don't have a conventional way of crocheting. Apologies if that is a difficult watch. It ends up with the same result, and I think this is just the way I ended up teaching myself after quite a while of doing like the English style knitting where you throw the yarn over. I kind of just got comfortable with that, and that's how I figured out myself how to crochet, but I appreciate it might be a difficult watch. Anyway, just continue on doing your half double crochet in each stitch until you get to the last stitch of the round, and I'll come back and show you what you have to do there to finish out the round. Now we're at the end of the round. We have 1 stitch left, and to make up for the stitch that we skipped at the start of the round, we're going to put 2 half double crochets into this stitch. And then once we have done that, we just slip stitch as usual into the first half double crochet of the beginning of the round. And that technique just stops you from having the slanted seam. It keeps everything nice and straight. So you have to repeat that every other round whilst you're working the body. But for the next round, round 3, we just do as we did on round 1. You chain 1, half double crochet into that same stitch, and then half double crochet all the way around to the last stitch, 1 half double crochet in there, and slip stitch to the beginning. And then round 4 you would start as we just did in round 2. You would chain 1, skip the first stitch, half double crochet around, and do 2 half double crochets in the last stitch of the round, slip stitch. So you do that every other round until you've got to the length of the body that you want. So once you have got the body to the length that you want it, we're going to be splitting to work the front and the back separately. So we'll be doing the same stitches of half double crochet, but we'll be working flat back and forth for both the front and the back. Also, to create the armholes to not sit too far over the shoulder, we're going to be bringing in the front and the back panel. So we're not working all the stitches that we've just been working in the round. We're going to come in a few inches on each side to work the front panels back and forth, and we're going to be adding some neck shaping to the front. But to begin with, we're going to be setting up for the front panel, and what has been up until now your beginning of round. So I still have my crochet hook at the end / beginning of the round. That is now going to become a side seam, which will be nicely hidden under your arm for the most part and not particularly visible anyway. So I'll show you how you set up, and then we can get working the front and back panel. Okay, so we've got our side seam here. I just showed you it with the hook in. I've now broken the yarn and ended that. So that beginning of round, as I said, is now the side seam. And then you're going to measure in each side as per the measurements given in the pattern. And you can mark, I'm just going to roughly put it in here. You can mark the measurements at each side so you know where you're working to. And this is going to be the same for the front and the back. But we're going to start working the front first, so I can show you the neck shaping that we're going to be doing on the front panel. Now you have the markers in, we're just going to be joining in the yarn, chain 1, exactly the same as we were doing before, half double crochet into that stitch and half double crochet all the way along until you get to that marker. And then once you're at that point, to work it back and forth, you simply turn, chain one, half double crochet into that stitch and work backwards, and you just work back and forth to the measurements provided within the pattern, and I will meet you back there to do the neck shaping. There is something I just realised would be useful to show you when working this like back and forth for the front and the back panels, so let me just show you now. So it's just about where we're placing our hook when we're doing the stitches back and forth. So when you're working on the right side, you just want to make sure you're popping your hook through these front two stitches here. So the V that's at the front here. And then when you're working the back, so I'll just turn it around now. When you're working the back, you'll see it looks different. It's got the lines here compared to the front that doesn't have those lines. When you're working the back, so going this direction, you're on the wrong side. Instead of doing the front two V's, you're going to be doing the back two. And that just ensures that you don't have this line at the front, and it's kind of smooth in that respect on the right side. Once you have completed the front panel, to do a slight simple neck shaping, we just add a few rows to each side of the shoulder. The number of rows is included in the pattern, and then you do one side with the yarn already joined, and then you break the yarn, do the other side, and then you do the back panel, which I've already done, to the length as described in the pattern. And then we'll be ready to do the ribbing for the hem, armholes and neck, which I will show you the technique to do the rib stitch for crochet. So now we've done the neckline and we have seamed the shoulders together. I've just tried mine on to check it's the right length that I want. You might want to do that before you seam the shoulders together, or even before you do the neckline. I want mine slightly cropped. We are going to be adding a bit to the bottom for the ribbing, and that is what's coming next. So I'm just going to show you how to do the rib stitch that we'll be putting on the hem, the armholes and the neckline. And then you'll almost have a complete Hornby sweater vest. So the final piece for this is doing the ribbing around the neckline, armholes and the hem. And those are worked with double crochet stitches, and to get the rib effect, you work in the front post and then one stitch in the back post, alternating in the round. So I'll just show you how that's done. But first of all, to set up for each time we're working this ribbing, you need to start by putting double crochets all around the hole first. So in this example, I'm going to use the neckline. So I'm going to start in the center back. That keeps it slightly more hidden at the back there. I'm going to join the yarn and then chain 3, and that will count as my first double crochet. And then I will just continue placing a double crochet stitch there's a hair in, so I should not have used this dark yarn in hindsight, in every single stitch around the neckline. And the specifics of how to manage the corners of the neck hole and the armholes is all laid out in the pattern, so I recommend having a read of that before you begin and as you're following this. So we keep going until we get back to where we started. So once we have double crocheted all the way around, we do the final double crochet and we slip stitch to join with this one. And then I will show you how to work the front post double crochet and the back post double crochet. So now we have our double crochet set up round. It's time to do the front post and back post stitches. So first thing we're going to do is chain 3 stitches, and that's counting as the first double crochet. Going to yarn over on our hook, take the hook and place it behind the next stitch, yarn over again, pull 1 loop through, yarn over again, pull 2 loops through, yarn over again, and that is the front loop. And then next we'll do the back loop, so yarn over, go through the back post, so we take our neck stitch, we flip it over, place our hook through there, and then the same again, yarn over, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through the remaining two, and that is your front post and your back post, and you just continue to alternate like that all the way around, and you do that for each round that you do the ribbing for. And that will give you a crochet rib stitch. Okay, the ribbing is complete. I've got the neck, the armholes, and the hem. I did a slightly longer hem at the back than I did the front. It's a split hem. So now all I need to do is wash it, block it, weave in the ends, as I love, and then I'll be able to show you this finished version of the Hornby vest. Here is my finished version of the third Hornby vest that I have crocheted. I am happy with the length of it. It's a good cropped length for my high-waisted trousers. This is the scrappy version of the Hornby vest that I crocheted earlier this year using the yarn from my stash. It is crocheted with different worsted weight wool that I had in my stash. It's all completely varied. Some of it's acrylic yarn, some of it's wool, some of it's blend. I just threw different colours together as I was going. As you can see, I've kept the ribbing around the neck, the armholes and the hem the same colour, the same yarn. But all I did was change colour every 2 rows to make these colour changing stripes. I only used 5 different colours, but I really love how it turned out. It makes it more of like a brighter, fun version, lots of colour compared to my original sample that's just the one cream colour. I think it's a good example of how you can experiment with this pattern. I also made this one a cropped version just because I actually realised I have a lot more high waist trousers, skirts, etc. So cropped versions generally are my preference, but in the pattern it obviously has the customizable options for you if you prefer something longer. But yeah, this one I wear it to work, I wear it out and about. Like, it's a very versatile pattern in general and good for wearing for lots of different occasions. I could also wear a shirt underneath this or something like long sleeved when it is colder. Yeah, so there you go. Go have fun with this pattern. If you crochet your own Hornby top, don't forget to tag me. I love to see your finished versions of my patterns. And this pattern is available from my website, Etsy and Ravelry. The link to all of those can be found in the description below. And if you're seeing this within the first month of me publishing this video, I am currently running a sale, 25% off all of my patterns. So make sure to check that out before the sale finishes on October 10th. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time.